The arena air was stale. You could feel it through the screen of Friday Night SmackDown that felt like it was going through the motions. The main event had ended in a predictable disqualification. The crowd in the front row was checking their phones, and the commentary team was already plugging next week's ticket sales. It was the definition of business as usual, the kind of complacency that usually signals the end of a broadcast. The camera lingered on the ramp, waiting for the copyright graphic to flash across the bottom of the screen. The energy was flat, the noise level dipping into a murmuring hum of people gathering their coats to leave. Then the lights cut. Not a flicker, but a total suffocating blackout. For 3 seconds, there was confusion. You could hear the sudden intake of breath from 15,000 people. Was it a technical glitch? A power failure? Then a sound pierced the darkness, a single, distorted guitar riff that hadn't been heard in this building for years. The reaction wasn't immediate cheers. It was a guttural noise of disbelief. A low rumble started from the cheap seats and cascaded down to ringside. The commentary headsets were live, catching the genuine panic and confusion. "Wait a minute," Michael Cole's voice cracked, dropping his broadcast persona for a moment of genuine shock. "No, it can't be. Not her, not tonight." The darkness held for another beat, stretching the tension until it felt like a physical weight pressing down on every single person watching. This wasn't just an entrance. It was a resurrection. The atmosphere shifted from boredom to a volatile electric charge that made the hair on your arms stand up. The world stopped spinning. The script was burned. She was here. When the spotlight finally snapped on, it didn't hit the stage, it hit the barricade. There was no pyrotechnic display, no choreographed dance, no smile for the hard cam. She stood there, emerging from the crowd itself, wearing street clothes and a look of absolute cold disdain. The visual was jarring. We are used to polished superstars, gladiator sandals and robes. She looked like she had just walked in off the street to start a fight she had been planning for a decade. The camera operator scrambled, struggling to find focus as she hopped the barricade. This unpolished, gritty camera work only heightened the realism. She walked with a terrifying, controlled intensity. This wasn't a babyface looking for adulation. This was a ghost haunting the machine. As she marched toward the steel steps, the fans reached out, not to touch her, but almost to verify she was real. You could see the faces in the front, row-grown men with hands over their mouths, young girls screaming in a way that didn't make sound. It was the sound of nostalgia colliding with reality. Corey Graves was silent, a rare moment where the heel commentator had nothing to say, completely stripped of his usual wit. The silence spoke louder than any catchphrase. She slid into the ring, not with grace, but with ownership. She didn't pose on the turnbuckle. She walked to the center of the canvas, looked at the hard cam, and didn't blink. The noise in the arena was deafening, a mix of chants and pure, incoherent screaming, but she stood in the center of the hurricane, perfectly still. It was the stillness of a predator who knows the prey is already trapped. She demanded a microphone, snatching it from the trembling hands of the ring announcer. The feedback screech echoed through the PA system, jarring and raw. She didn't start with a catchphrase. She didn't start with "It's good to be back." She waited. She let the crowd scream her name until their lungs burned, and then she waited 5 seconds longer. When she finally spoke, her voice was dangerously low, forcing the entire arena to lean in. It wasn't a promo, it was a verdict. "They told you I was difficult," she whispered, her voice amplified to the rafters. "They told you I took my ball and went home." But looking around at this, she gestured to the WWE logo on the turnbuckle with a look of disgust. "I realize. I didn't leave a kingdom. I left a daycare." The gasp from the crowd was audible. This was blurring the lines. She began to dismantle the current division, not with insults, but with uncomfortable truths. She called out the champions by their government names. She referenced backstage politics that are usually kept behind closed doors. It was a pipe bomb for a new era. The commentary team had clearly been told to lay out. To let this happen, but you could sense the unease. Was this approved? Was she going off script? Every sentence felt like a punch, stripping away the pageantry of the show and leaving only the raw, exposed nerves of the industry. She wasn't just attacking a rival, she was attacking the very system that had replaced her. She dropped the microphone. It hit the canvas with a thud that sounded like a gavel closing a court case. The moment she exited the ring, the chaos truly began. As the camera didn't cut to commercial, it followed her up the ramp, breaking the fourth wall. We saw security guards looking unsure of whether to escort her or let her pass. We saw the current women's champion watching on a monitor in the backstage area, a genuine look of fear and confusion on her face that acting simply cannot replicate. This wasn't the polished backstage segment we are used to. The lighting was harsh, the audio was cluttered with the shouting of producers. Social media began to melt down in real time. The trending topics weren't just about the show, they were about the history, the beef, the legitimacy of what just happened. Reports started flying that the script for the next month had been thrown in the trash. The return had rendered every current storyline irrelevant. Why care about a scripted feud over a shiny belt when a real-life vendetta just walked through the front door? The broadcast ended not with a match, but with her walking out of the arena, ignoring the producers trying to talk to her and getting into a waiting car. The symbolism was heavy. She came in on her own terms, destroyed the narrative, and left before the company could control her. The commentary team signed off with somber, stunned tones. "I don't know what we just saw," Cole muttered, "but nothing is going to be the same next week." It left the viewer with a sense of anxiety, a feeling that the safe, predictable world of Friday nights had just been shattered by a force of nature they couldn't contain. Why do these moments stick with us? Why does a single entrance theme hitting a PA system cause millions of people to lose their minds? It's because in a world of predetermined outcomes, a return like this feels like a glitch in the matrix. It represents the one thing scripted television can't manufacture: genuine danger. We watch not to see who wins the match, but to see if reality will finally break through the presentation. This wasn't just about nostalgia, it was about validation. For every fan who felt the product had lost its edge, her return was a signal that the intensity was back. But here's the twist, the thing that nobody realized in the heat of the moment. As the car drove away and the screen faded to black, a small detail emerged in the replays online. When she held the microphone, she wasn't wearing her wrestling gear underneath her street clothes. She was wearing a cast on her wrist, painted to blend in with her skin. She didn't come back to fight for the title next week. She didn't come back for a match at WrestleMania. Shocking return wasn't the start of a title run. It was a farewell tour. She came back to destroy the division psychologically because she physically can't compete the way she used to. She is here to be the villain, the manager, the puppet master who breaks the new generation because she can no longer be one of them. The greatest trick she ever pulled wasn't coming back. It was making us believe she could still go, when really, she's here to burn the house down from the inside.